the Houston Astros officially have traded Ryan Presley to the Chicago Cubs, which we discussed a lot yesterday. Does feel like the kind of strong armed him into waiving his no trade clause. But maybe it was easier than we thought, given that if you listen to us last year, we brought on Chandler Rome, and Chandler had hinted that when the Astros brought in Josh Hader, Ryan Presley wasn't happy. And we're seeing that now where feelings were hurt. Dana Brown even went so far as to admit that. But we're moving on from Ryan Presley. We're on to what's next. And we're all hoping that the Astros are going to make Alex Bregman an Astro again with the extra money that they got since they got $8.5 million of salary relief from the Cubs in this trade. And while they might be still monitoring it, they're not giving much more towards Alex Bregman. In fact, it seems like they're standing entirely pat. And now all of a sudden, Joe, we're hearing that they're interested in Mariners infielder Jorge Polanco.
Awesome. Great move.
Is that sarcastic?
Yes.
Okay.
This is not the kind of inspiring move I expected the Astros to make after trading Ryan Presley.
I'll be honest, I wasn't sure they would make a move.
Well, see, I think it does make sense if you're not going to bring Bregman back. It means Dubon's your opening day left fielder. And you have to replace the utility infielder. And that's essentially what Jorge Polanco does.
Oh my God. They're replacing the $8.5 million of salary relief. It's being used to sign a utility infielder.
I mean, basically, he's not a starter. Like, was he going to play left field? He's only a second base and a shortstop. Like you're going to demand he play left field? Like, he's not going to come here for that.
I looked at his metrics on Baseball Savant. For those who don't remember, that was the website that some were citing when people were saying, hey, Jose Abreu might not be good anymore. And percentile wise, he is poor when it comes to hitting. He is below average at base running, and he is absolute worst at fielding. So
great.
I don't get this one at all. I mean, it seems like he has some power.
There we go.
So that's neato.
Yeah, like it's a hard player to look at. Like when you look at his baseball reference page, just as like a starting point. The numbers last year are atrocious. But Paul, you sent us this article the other day, outlining what's happened in a couple ballparks in baseball, and that the Mariners have basically essentially made their ballpark impossible to have success in. So if you look at Jorge Polanco's road splits last year, he was a 193 hitter in Seattle, a 233 hitter outside of Seattle. The home run numbers are basically the same, though. So, like, he's a below average hitter, whether he's in Seattle or not last year. Now, before that, in Minnesota, like, he's a fine baseball player. He hit 255 in 2023, 269 in 2021. So, like, he has been like a 250 hitter since 2020. He is not the, hitting 288, 295 that he was in 2018-19. So, like, it's an okay move, I guess.
Is it? I mean, it's another infielder.
Yeah, it's a depth piece. Like, that's all it really is.
You have no depth in your outfield. Let's go get another infielder. Like, what the hell is this? What is this?
No, give me an outfielder, and then Mauricio Dubon can still be the Mauricio Dubon role.
Yeah.
I think they need an outfielder and an infielder then.
But they don't need an infielder.
Well, they clearly think they do.
I know. I think they're crazy. What are you doing?
At the very least, they don't need that infielder.
Right.
Can we do better than Polanco?
I mean, shoot. Don't you have guys in the minors that you're hoping, and the infield side of things, Bryce Matthews specifically, that are going to be able to play maybe at some point this year?
Bryce Matthews is the only one that would probably be in contention. Like, Cam Smith is not. I mean, the long-term fallout of like an Alex Bregman deal, if that were still to come to fruition, is you are definitely talking about positional changes for both Bryce Matthews and Cam Smith in the minors. And you have you have to figure out where they're going to play potentially in the long run. Like, you might see both those guys get run at left field and right field, or maybe one of them gets a run at second base to replace Jose Altuve if he's going to become your left fielder, because apparently that's still on the table, even if Alex Bregman's not back.
Yeah.
So like Jorge Polanco could just play second base next year. Altuve's not going to be your primary left fielder if Bregman's not here. Like that's not happening. But Dana Brown left the door open to Jose Altuve playing left field today, even if Bregman's not here.
If I'm Jose Altuve, I'm like, yeah, I said I'd play left field if Bregman.
Oh
comes
yeah,
back.
you have.
I didn't
step in.
I didn't say anything about Polanco.
I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, hell, you know what? They honestly, if this is like their plan, why are they not re-engaging with Nolan Arenado and the Cardinals? Like, if this is really what they're gonna do, and they're not gonna get Alex Bregman, go get Nolan Arenado. Make him your third baseman, put Paredes at second, and then Altuve can play left. That's fine. But like Polanco, ugh, gross.
Yeah, I'd rather sign probably 55-year-old Placido Polanco because that's the only person with the last name Polanco that I was aware of until all of a sudden there were rumors about the Astros being interested in Jorge Polanco. From the 832, does Jeff Bagwell get drunk and think he can make bad players good? Hey, this is a Dana Brown, Jim Crane operation now.
We think.
It's at least what they told us. And
Yeah.
obviously, we should believe everything the Astros tell us.
They're
At the
usually
very-
pretty honest.
At the very least, we haven't heard from Jeff Bagwell in a while.
I do think that's an indicator. I think we'll really know because Dana Brown's met with the media today over Zoom. So I don't think we would really know until there's a in-person press conference. Jeff Bagwell's involvements, because those typically would go as he's not part of the press conference. He would just be like lurking in the background, but then like Berman and everyone would find him, and then that's where he would tell all of us that the Astros were overly analytical and they had to completely change, and that's why they got rid of Yuli Gurriel.
Fine.
They're too analytical. Like a month after winning the World Series, they're like, too much analytics.
I don't think we'll really know for Bagwell his involvement until like spring training or until they re-sign Alex Bregman, because it's not like Jorge Polanco is going to get an introductory press conference.
I hope not.
He's Joe. I'm Paul. This sucks. Sean behind the glass. 713-780-3776. What? I'm sorry. I was excited that Ryan Presley meant Alex Bregman for a moment until I realized, oh wait, they didn't really free up that much space, and they made a trade so that they could save $8.5 million. Technically only saving 5.5 in the process because they were 3 over the luxury tax. They just wanted to get under the luxury tax. But great. Jorge Polanco. Thank you. Let's just play all infielders. 5 infielder defense. Okay? They'll never see it coming.
Like all I can think of now is like
F it.
Like McCormick or Myers is really struggling, and you're gonna have a game where Christian Walker, Isaac Paredes, Jeremy Pena are all in the lineup, joined by infielders Jorge Polanco, Jose Altuve in left, Mauricio Dubon in center, and then Myers or McCormick in right. Like that's what I envision, is putting 6 outfielders out there for 4 positions, or 6 infielders out there for 4 positions, and having them play left.
Screw it. Have a catcher in the outfield. They're called catcher for a reason. Must be able to catch the ball.
Caratini's a little slow. I guess it could be Yiner. Screw it.
Defense doesn't matter in baseball. Just put like 12 infield. Oh wait, you can't do that. 9 infielders. Wait, you can't do that. 8 infielders. Just crowd the infield, and everyone. So here's what you do. Everyone just stands right in front of the batter, and you just heckle them.
Oh, I was also thinking meat shield of just you put. It's like
all the infielders wear catcher cages, and they all just stand in a semicircle, and then there's the pitcher. Who's throwing the ball? What? No one's tried it before.
It's like Happy Gilmore at the batting cages.
Now there might be, the occasional. You might have the guys who are closer to the pitcher's line to home plate. You might want to put your less important players there. So sorry, Chas McCormick and Jake Myers. You guys might be the closest to the line of fire, but
or Jorge Polanco.
Yeah, Jorge Polanco.
Again,
like this
meat
is
shield.
We're gonna try new things here. Okay. We're going to try new things. And I really like this idea that I just came up with because I am a baseball genius. Everyone says that. The greatest baseball mind in Houston. I think that they should just have, you have a pitcher, you have a catcher, 7 infielders crowding the batter's box and heckling the batters. I bet their averages go down a lot.
I mean, look, Lance McCullers, if he ever plays for the Astros, he can field a little bit. So like as soon as he throws the pitch, then he can just like run backwards into the outfielder. So that way you have one guy out there at least to chase it down.
He's Joe. I'm Paul. Sean behind the glass. 713-780-3776 to call, to text. It does feel like the Astros have made a move so that they could sign Jorge effing Polanco. Good God. That bums me out. For his part, this was Dana Brown talking about Alex Bregman at the Astros press conference today.
We've talked internally about, him still being available. And so we are definitely having conversations within our front office. We haven't reached back out to Boris. At some point, it could turn to that. I know that we're taking a deep look at what it would look like if we acquired him, and how would it look for us financially? Does it make sense to do it? We know that he's a talented player. We'd love to have him, but I would mostly say it's all internal conversations as to what we would like to do in terms of Bregman. Well, I owe Boris a call. He sent me a text, today, so I'll probably end up getting back to him. But I would leave it at that.
So he's going to eventually text him back.
He's eventually going to text or call Scott Boras back.
Honestly, everything I heard up to that point was just like the parents and Charlie Brown, who are just completely. This is the secret about Charlie Brown. They didn't tell you about this. His parents. It's not that they can't understand the parents. The parents are hammered. They're just absolutely bleep canned. They've had like 12 Bud Heavies. They're ripping darts, and that family room just smelled like cancer, to be perfectly honest. And in the background, they say, wah, 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 but that was Dana Brown the entire way there.
I mean, but basically all he really told us, and why it was interesting to me, is just because it just means all these reports about Presley leaving equals Bregman back are just trash garbage. They haven't even talked to Scott Boras yet. Come on. Like, you can't tell me Alex Bregman, like, trading Ryan Presley means Alex Bregman could be back if you haven't even spoken to his agent.
Especially with all that Bob Nightingale stuff from over the weekend, which made it seem like the two were linked.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that Jim Crane was saying, like, yeah, this is linked. And they've maybe thought Presley wasn't going to waive the no trade clause. So the win is either one, Presley never waives his no trade clause and stays, and he's the reason the Astros don't bring back Bregman. Or another win, they save money because Presley feels shamed into waiving the no trade clause. And that's what happened over the weekend.
Totally agree. It's more about money, and maybe they do find, like, Dana Brown calls Scott Boras today and they find a way to actually come to some conclusion. But anything you see out there right now, even, people putting out, like, their sources in quotes that say Alex Bregman wants $30 million a year. The Astros are currently offering 26. Well, now all of that is pretty much trash because they haven't even talked to the agent yet.
Trash.
It's just reality. Like,
is that on the washed agent to initiate those conversations?
I mean, unless they're literally only having them with Alex.
Do you think that Scott Boras, who you believe is washed, and yes. I think, listen, this is a good offseason for you right now.
It is.
Things are going well for you.
I was a little nervous when he signed Soto.
But that's Juan Soto.
Yeah, I probably could have got that deal done.
Yeah. Do you think you could have gotten that done?
It really just seemed like a giant bidding war, so I think so.
Someone else would have had to do the math.
No, because they're doing the math.
Well, yeah, but you'd have to confirm. They might take a couple of zeros out of there.
I can
say
read.
We can get this past Joe. Yeah,
read.
Yeah, okay,
but can't math.
That's still math. You see a bunch of zeros, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I could be like, is that
commission's the commission?
$40 billion or is that $4 million?
Yeah, let me just eyeball the.
But sorry,
it's deserved.
With Boras, I mean, do you think that at this point you have to send a couple of texts? Yeah, and by the way, in the dating world, this is frowned upon, and I constantly shoot myself in the foot because I do this all the time. When you send a text, you're not supposed to send another text. You're not supposed to seem desperate. You're not supposed to seem like you want it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Dana Brown right now has 6 messages, perhaps some unread, perhaps some left unread from Scott Boras?
I mean, the fact that Boras is reaching out first does kind of give the perception that the Astros have the upper hand here a little bit. So yeah, I could see there being at least 2 text messages. What's the limit? Like
3 is where it
three is
starts
where it gets weird, right?
to get dicey for you. I don't care because sometimes I will just send for dramatic effect a text and then another one.
I think that's different than 3 different ones that aren't like related.
Correct. And also sometimes I just send 7 in a row because I'm crazy.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Sometimes you got to send 10.
I like the idea of Marathon Girl right now. Don't know her name, haven't met her yet, but like, don't send 7 texts. I like the idea of Marathon Girl.
Yeah, but sometimes, listen, and not that I would do that, but sometimes I need to self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just have to go in there and absolutely light myself on fire, like I'm a protesting man, wearing all orange, like that Buddhist monk that one time.
Yes.
Shout out to him. People remember you, but they don't remember the cause. But they do remember you.
We don't know the cause. We don't know the name. We just remember the fire.
Brutal way to go. And speaking of on fire, that is what Dana Brown is doing to us by not bringing back Alex Bregman. What a transition, Dan Paul. That's why they pay you the big bucks. I know that is why they pay me not big, but that's why they pay me the bucks.
Yeah,
because of that. It is disappointing. I mean, I feel like I was just teased over the weekend. We're talking about the texting back and forth. I feel like I was told that I was going to get a tasteful photo, and someone just sent me like their elbow crack.
Yeah.
And then they told me that it was their elbow crack.
Yeah, they didn't even pretend to lie to you.
Yeah, they just sent that.
They're just like, by the way,
originally.
that's the elbow.
And then they let you have some, let you enjoy it for
a
couple hours, and they're like, by the way,
I was gonna say like 2 minutes.
Well, it was like a long weekend.
It was a long weekend
of Bob Nightingale updates.
It does feel like Alex Bregman potentially coming back has been like a 2-week storyline that's happened in the last 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, they timed it up perfectly to where all the guys are talking about it. Astros Fan Fest too. I think that's what it is that we actually heard Altuve and Espada have to answer those questions.
Yeah, was this all an elaborate ploy by the Astros to make people excited at Fan Fest?
Yeah, but doesn't
given that the attendance was down this past year and people were kind of like, "Hey, are you guys still good?"
Yeah, but
you could just sign Alex Bregman then.
Everyone's
if you sign Alex Bregman,
you could just do that.
That's how you pander.
Like everyone's gonna not hate them, but like be disappointed now.
Yeah,
the way these reports have been framed.
This is let's be honest. If they bring in Jorge Polanco, to me, that's like Brian Schottenheimer. It's like the Cowboys and Brian Schottenheimer. And honestly, theoretically, it could work, I guess. But I mean, that's what it is, and it could make sense.
It could,
and it's cost effective.
I don't know, if
but that's what it is. That's what it is.
I mean, how many Jorge Polanco jerseys are they selling this year?
How many
like
family members does he have?
Good question. Like no one's getting out there like buying like the new City Edition jersey of Jorge Polanco. They won't even be available for sale probably.
Well, they'll probably have the used versions that's up in the center field.
Yeah, now you could still go. Now
you can get Javier Bracamonte jerseys.
One thing I did learn about FanFest yesterday. Did you like the team store? There was a sale rack of Kyle Tucker jerseys. And there's sale racks in other stores of Kyle Tucker jerseys. It's not on sale yet.
What?
Alex Bregman jerseys.
Damn. But he's an icon.
Connect the dots.
I don't think Kyle Tucker's I don't think people are going to be thinking years from now about Kyle Tucker when they think of these teams.
To catch the final out of the World Series.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jose Altuve is going to do that next year.
In left field.
In left field.
Hopefully.
If he has a stoop of sorts.